Until Dawn is getting a remake next month, and I want to platinum the original before that comes out. This game only has 19 trophies, mainly consisting of getting all collectibles and keeping everyone either alive or dead. For this first playthrough, I'll be getting all collectibles and keeping everyone alive until the end. There are some key choices that have to be made in order to do that, and I'll cover them when we get there. We start with the prologue, where none of our choices matter. Hannah gets pranked.
It was just a prank, Han.
And runs away from the cabin. Beth goes after her, and here is where I find the first of 107 collectibles. It's a totem that shows me a possible fate for one of the main characters. This specific totem isn't just a possibility, but a fact, as what it showed happens like 2 minutes later. A 1-year time skip brings us to chapter 1. Everyone from the prologue is meeting back at the cabin for a reunion of sorts. We're playing as Sam and immediately walk into another totem in front of a plaque describing what totems are. Then we meet Chris, and here's where one of the key choices I talked about earlier is. At a shooting gallery, I'm shooting bottles and bags with Chris when a squirrel comes in with a target on its head. I cannot shoot this squirrel. If I do, then I'll get locked out of a bunch of collectibles later on. Up on the mountain, we meet Jess and learn some plot details. Then we meet lovebirds Emily and Matt and get jump scared by Mike.
What do you think?
We got a bit of a love triangle happening here, with Mike being Emily's ex. Emily scurries off and we meet Ashley. She's being a peeping Tom on Mike and Emily, and we're on to chapter 2. We're playing as Chris and meet Josh, the brother of Hannah and Beth from the prologue. Immediately, we find another totem and break into the lodge to open it from the inside. There's a lot of collectibles in here to get before I do that though. Jess and Emily get into a fight, so now we're Mike headed to a cabin nearby, picking up more collectibles along the way, then we're back to the lodge. Get a few more collectibles, then down to the basement to help Josh turn on the hot water. Another jump scare happens, but it's just Chris monking us. Now we're on to chapter 3, and it's a shorter one. We do a seance with Josh and maybe get into contact with his dead sister Beth. He gets mad, then walks away. We shift back to Mike looking for a missing Jess.
Funny.
She jump scares us. Man, there's a lot of those in this game. I just had another one like less than a minute ago. Something spooky actually happens and we book it to the cabin. I set the mood, but then Jess's missing phone comes through the window, then Jess follows suit and does the same with her body. Continuing from the seance at the lodge, Ashley and Chris investigate the library for clues and find a hidden passage. Ashley gets pulled through a door and Chris knocks it down to find her unconscious by the psycho. The same thing happens to him. Chapter 4 starts with Mike chasing after Jess. This is another key choice that I have to make. As Mike, I have to always choose the risky path and try my best to hit all the QTEs. If I take too long or mess enough up, then Jess ends up dead. I get this totem along the way and my lantern starts freaking out. I have no idea why this happened, but I thought it was funny. Because Jess still has her jaw, it means I succeeded in making it in time. I escape the mines, then switch back to Chris. I make my way to a cabin where it looks like Jigsaw paid us a visit. Chris needs to decide who will live between Ashley and Josh. The choice doesn't matter. No matter what, Ashley will live and Josh will die. Now chapter 5 is a long chapter, might even be the longest in the game, with 21 collectibles. I have to break into the sanatorium with Mike and find a chapel security pass. I find a machete, which will be used to get a trophy in a bit. This hand is connected to a bear trap and it's skippable. I could just walk right by it, but for poor Mike, that isn't an option. As for a trophy, I need to get his fingers stuck in it, then amputate them with the machete. I thought I'd get the trophy here and was confused when I didn't, but I learned it'll pop at the end of the chapter. I get the security pass and unlock the locked door from before, only to get jump scared by a wolf and have the option to kick it. For a trophy later on, I can't do that, so I just do nothing. This lantern is glitchy. This is like the third time it's done this. And again, oh my god, you can't stop this thing. Mike does a stupid thing here, and we switch to Matt. No important choices here, just a few collectibles. This is what's important. And no, I'm not talking about Sam being in a towel. Sam gets chased by the psycho, and I have to make sure she escapes. If she gets caught, I miss out on a bunch of collectibles in Chapter 7. When the psycho shows up, Sam can throw a vase at him for a trophy later. I have to jump over the bed, pull down this wine shelf to get the door handle, go through this door, then hide. Hit the QTE to turn my flashlight off, and put the controller down for the don't move section. The chapter ends, and I finally pop the first trophies of this playthrough. I got one for amputating Mike's fingers earlier, and for attacking the psycho with Sam. Matt and Emily are trying to signal for help, but the tower falls down. I make Matt ditch Emily because of that scene from earlier. Ashley and Chris go exploring the main cabin's basement and find a lot of spooky stuff.
I'm after us all too.
Chris gets ambushed and knocked out, and Ashley gets punched again. They get put into another jigsaw trap, and Chris is given a gun to shoot one of them. I cannot shoot Ashley. I don't think I can even point it at her. If I do, she will be the main cause of Chris's death later in the game. I just let the time expire and all will be fine.
No!
Because Sam escaped the psycho, I'm able to get 5 collectibles in this hidden area. I also got a trophy for finding all the clues from the mystery man. Sam finds Mike, then Ashley and Chris, and we get a plot twist. The psycho is actually Josh, who faked his death to get back at his friends for what happened to his sisters. Emily is still alive, somehow, and makes her way through the mines. This part coming up is important. I have to get away from the stranger and hide at the end to get a collectible next chapter. The only needed choice to make is to throw this torch on oil to make an obstacle for the stranger, then hide at the end, and I'm good. Chapter 8 starts, and here's the one collectible I would have missed if I didn't hide before. Emily gets chased by a Wendigo, a monster that lives in the mines. She gets bit and makes it back to the lodge. The stranger from before comes to the lodge to give some advice when Chris wants to go get Josh. They go together and the stranger dies when I mess up this don't move section. He would have died even if I didn't mess up. Ashley opens the door for Chris and everyone bunkers in the basement. Ashley notices Emily got bit and I have the opportunity to shoot Emily. Obviously I won't, and when Ashley learns that the bite is harmless, I pop a trophy for letting Emily live. Mike goes back into the sanatorium and finds the wolf again. If I keep this little guy alive throughout the chapter, I'll get a trophy. One of the collectibles I found got me a trophy for finishing the 1952 clue line. Mike fights his way through a ton of Wendigos, and I have to hit most of these QTEs. If I miss too many, then the wolf can die. I have to barricade this door, and then the wolf will leave on its own. The trophy will unlock later. Ashley and Co want to go find Mike, and Ashley thinks she hears Jess. There is a collectible down here, but I can't touch that hatch. If I do, then Ashley dies. Sam splits off, and I pop a trophy for keeping the wolf alive. Last chapter of the game, and we're actually playing as Josh having hallucinations of his dead sisters. That's all we do as him though, since we're back with Sam soon after. I found the last collectible for the twins clue line and popped a trophy for finishing that. We find Josh having that mental breakdown we saw earlier, and Sam splits off again.
Hannah!
A Wendigo, who we see is actually Hannah by her tattoo, kidnaps Josh. Matt is back after being gone for like 5 episodes and finds a barely alive Jess. There are 2 don't move sections coming up, and if I fail either of them, then both Matt and Jess die. When Sam gets out of the mines, there's a totem on the way to the lodge, and this is the last totem. After I look into it, the trophy pops for finding all totems. Everyone is at the lodge, and this is the climax of the game. At every choice, I have to pick whatever isn't flick the switch, and I can't fail any don't move sections. Once I no longer have a choice and Sam flicks the switch herself, everyone will be out of the lodge and the game will be over. 4 trophies unlocked here. 1 for everyone surviving, 1 for Jessica surviving, 1 for the boys surviving, and 1 for the girls surviving. All that's left now is cleanup for miscellaneous trophies. Luckily, I can start from episode 6 and play the game from there. At the end of episode 6, I have to point the gun at Ashley to get a trophy. Then in episode 8, Ashley won't open the door for Chris, causing him to die and unlocking a trophy later on. She also lies to Mike, saying she was too late to save him. I never thought I would say I prefer Emily over Ashley. Speaking of Emily, Mike has to shoot her for a trophy. It unlocks when Ashley confesses about the bites being harmless. The trophy for Ashley letting Chris die unlocks here too. I can skip over most of chapter 9 until I get to where Ashley hears Jess. I walked by this hatch last playthrough, but this time I need to open it. A Wendigo will pop out and kill Ashley. When the chapter ends, I'll get a trophy for it. The only 2 survivors left are Sam and Mike, who can both die in the climax. For every don't move section, I shook my controller and Sam was eventually killed, which leads Mike to blow up the lodge with him still in it. Everyone's dead and I got a trophy for it. The last trophy is for flicking the switch immediately in the climax. I reloaded my save and flicked the switch as soon as I could and got the last trophy, which then gave me my platinum. According to the guide I used, this game should take around 15 hours to platinum. My PS5 says it took me 15 hours, so spot on estimation from this guide's author. This platinum was quick and painless and a good change of pace from the games I've been playing.